This is Craig Soaries, and I have so many different relationships, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And I wear so many different hats. I thought the month of July I would kick off something new, not new in my life, but a new way of sharing who I am. So I'm originally from Montclair, New Jersey, born in 1954. So I'm dating myself. Yeah, I'll be 69 this year, and as I say, um, in humor and in fun when I'm traveling internationally. Don't I look good for my age? Don't I look great for my age? And my mother's just turned 92, and my brother is 72, and my sister's getting ready to turn, wow, 57. And we all look at least 10 or 15 years younger. But anyway, originally from Montclair, New Jersey, and all my Jersey folks and all my New York cousins and family and friends, uh, you know a little of my story. I was calculating today. Born in 1954, I was 3 years old when I first started demonstrating this interest in piano. My mother was a pianist in our church, organist, and choir director. But I remember when I was three, sitting at the top of the piano, my mother would be playing at the bottom, and I just started plucking, just plucking like I'm doing here, just plucking, just playing, just and the sounds just intrigued me. So my mother realized or had a hunch that there's musical talent here. And she started teaching me some of the scales and just a few little simple tunes. I never dreamt that 66 years later, I am still at it. Now, I have not had a lot of time in the last few years because some of you know I'm deeply immersed now in academia. I'm a director of an honors college. I'm a professor. I'm a consultant. I also advise doctoral candidates out of a university of Switzerland. So all this great academic stuff is going on. But this year, over the last 6 months, I've been saying to myself almost every week, I need to be doing more musically. I need to be doing more on keyboard, organ, piano, harpsichord. And I have a piano in my office and a harpsichord, and I don't have time to even play 1 hour a day. I shouldn't say I don't have time. I don't take the time. So, thanks to my tremendous and great media team here in Georgia, DC Media Team, I talked with them that said, listen, in the month of July, I am going to relaunch my Facebook page. I'm going to load it with playing that I'm doing now, playing some clips I have from the past. I am going to do stuff musically. Now, for those of you that don't only know me in academics as a professor and a leader and administrator and stuff like that, I've been playing again this year for 66 years between organ and piano. Started piano at three, and then 4 years later, which would be 1961, I was 7 years old. And this is a true story. My father was a pastor at St. Paul's Seventh Day Christian Church in Montclair, New Jersey. My mother was the only organist we had, and she got sick, went in the hospital, and this was like a Tuesday or Wednesday. We worshiped on Saturday, the Sabbath. My father, I kept hearing him saying, who am I going to get to play for church this Saturday? Now, in our church, every Sabbath we would sing the same doxology, some of the same chants. Uh, the hymn book, I could tell you right now, number 234 is Blessed Assurance. I can even tell you some of the page numbers of the hymns. We were a hymn church. We sang hymns on Saturday. It wasn't until, well, let me first finish this story. So I said to my father, here I am, 70 years old, and I've never been really what you call a really tall guy. So I must have been maybe 3 foot something. I don't know, but I was short. And I said to my father, oh, I can play. I can play for the service, just like I had been studying organ for years. We had a beautiful pipe organ. The first time I'd ever seen or touched a pipe organ was at our church because it was a former Lutheran church, and the pipe organ was just beautiful. So I told my father, I said, I can play it. He looked at me like, like I'm a man dropped out the moon or something. He said, really? He said, yeah, I can do it. I said, take me to church. Let me show you. We went to the church. I was 7 years old, and I'm not adding or taking any away from this story. My brother can attest to this, and many of the people in Seventh Day Christian Church in New York and New Jersey, Victory Tabernacle and St. Paul's, a Seventh Day Christian Church. I went through the entire order of worship. I had never played an organ in my life. And I had to sit on the edge of the bench so my feet would touch the pedals because my legs were so short. I played through the entire order of worship because I'd heard it so much for several years that I had it the order memorized, and I could read music by now. So I was able to read the hymns. I played for the worship service flawlessly that next Saturday, and from then my parents were like in a state of shock. Like, we have a 7-year old that can play the organ and piano. Like, what do we do with this kid? I was too short for an organ teacher to take me on for lessons. So for next 5 years, I played organ and piano. I had piano lessons regularly, but I played organ on my own. And then I don't want to say fooled around, but I used to love to go with my grandma Pinkett to the Training Temple Church of God in Christ, and I noticed that their music was quite different than ours. There was no hymn books. There was no chants. There was no doxology. They sang what we call in the Pentecostal church. They sang devotions, old devotions. Don't ask me. I don't think to this day I've seen any score for most of these devotional songs, and everything was by ear. So I was blessed to be able to play by ear and read notes. And someone taught me how to turn on the Hammond organ, and the rest is history. So I began to pick up playing gospel music on Sundays and then for special meetings at the Church of God in Christ. And I picked up that New York, New Jersey style. For some of you that know Kojic and the way we made music back then, the way they make music now, it just got all in my system. So I studied piano. I was now playing pipe organ and Hammond organ, and I've learned how to back the preacher up. And sometime I'll give an example of that because this YouTube channel is I'm going to really grow it for the rest of the year. Okay, so that was 1966. Yes, I was 12 years old. Was I 12? Let's see, 54 and 8. Well, I was 12 years old, and I went to the seventh grade at Montclair State College High School. Now, College High was a demonstration high school on Montclair State College, Teachers College then, campus. It's now Montclair State University. And I was so hungry to have organ lessons that my mother and father found the pipe organ teacher of Montclair State, Mr. Russell Hayden. I auditioned. He kind of looked at me because he didn't have any black students. I was the only black student. They're surely the only black male student, and he said, I will take him on as a student. I was so excited. I started studying pipe organ at St. James Episcopal Church in Upper Montclair, which was his church where he taught organ. And I was his student for 6 years until I graduated from high school in 1972. Then I went on. My first degree is a Bachelor of Arts in music, and my major instrument was pipe organ. So then I finished school. I took a year off, and I finished undergraduate school in 1977. I got married in 1980. We're gonna move real quick now. I went back to school. I got a master's degree in humanities, and I researched computer ethics, and I'll explain what that is later on. All right. So I stayed out of school until 2000. For 15 years, I did full time ministry. I traveled the world. I built a great outreach ministry. A lot of you have heard about the Victory House. And then in 2000, I decided I needed to go back to school again. I went back and earned my doctorate in business administration from Case Western Reserve in social cognition, leadership, and linguistic anthropology. And I don't mean to make my story so long, but I just want to give a little history. And I got that degree in 2003, 20 years ago. It's almost unbelievable. 20 years ago, I got my doctorate, DBA. It's like a PhD, but it is a practitioner doctorate. So we don't just do research for research sake, but we research and analyze exactly like PhD students would research and analyze, write a dissertation on problems of practice in the real world. All right, so that's 2003. What's been going on the last 20 years? A lot's been going on, a lot. It's just a lot. And 20 years goes very fast. For you all that are young, you hear us older people talk about how fast the years go. You're going to be us in the future. As long as you're on this earth, and you're going to say, wow, Soaries was right. So the last 20 years, a lot. One more incident, one more academic thing. 2003, and then let's fast forward to 2012. So I was doing some um, consultant work. I was hired as a researcher with the University of Washington. I was doing ministry like 25 hours a day and traveling. I was just very engaged. All the stops were pulled out, so to speak. In 2012, I got that hunger again. I need to be playing pipe organ. I hadn't played pipe organ in a long time. I was playing Hammond organ, but nothing. There's cold different worlds: pipe organ and Hammond organ. And I'm going to be putting some pipe organ clips on this channel because I want you to understand the difference. And I don't talk about my life a whole lot publicly because I'm so engaged. Like I was telling someone earlier today, I really don't have time, or I don't really have this interest or passion to talk a lot about what I'm doing because I really am so busy doing it. I don't have time to do a lot of talk about what I'm doing. And then it's not, I don't think it's beneficial to talk a lot all the time. Hezekiah gave us a lesson in that. And this is not a teaching or preaching platform, but I just thought for you that knows the scriptures in Isaiah and Kings, you'll understand what happened to Hezekiah. So anyway, um, 2012, I found an organ in Buckhead, Atlanta, because I live in Atlanta, Georgia area, and I just started practicing. I pulled out old music that I had for years, and I said to myself, I'm going to find a school where there's an organ professor that I could take lessons. So I was referred to Dr. Jack Michener, one of the greatest pipe organists in this country, down at Mercer University. I jumped in the car, drove about an hour and a half, went down to Mercer, introduced myself, and I talked to the dean, and I told him I wanted lessons. And all of a sudden, he says to me, Dr. Soaries, we don't need you just to come take lessons. We want you to be a part of our masters of music and and organ performance. I said, me? No, 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 sir. I don't need any more degrees. I don't want any more degrees. I just want to play. He said, but you'd be such an inspiration to the younger people being a non-traditional student. What he was saying that being an old guy and playing like you want to play, it would discourage. I said, well, I'm not trying to be an inspiration. I just want to play pipe organ. So I talked with Dr. Michener. He auditioned me and he said, yes, definitely, I want you in the master's program for performance. I said, okay. And they gave me so much money to do it, I couldn't turn them down. So here we go, 2013 to 2016. I studied organ. I practiced 20 plus hours a week, still doing ministry, still doing some traveling, but I immersed myself in the world of music. Now, I know it's not possible at this time in my life because of all my other responsibilities to fully immerse myself in the world of music as I would love to. However, I've been at the shallow end looking at all the other musicians in the pool. And years ago, about 10, 15 years ago, I asked a very renowned musician in the contemporary gospel field, what he think about my playing. And I sent him some clips. He said, well, yeah, Craig Surge, you play well. He said, but people are not going to relate to that old school music these days. And after I kind of just, wiped a few tears, I said, oh, okay. I guess I just play for my own enjoyment, even though I put all this time in. But I've noticed in the last few years, old school gospel playing and singing and rejoicing, it's been a revival of old school gospel playing. So I am launching this YouTube channel. It's a long introduction, I know, but forgive me, but I will be 69. So I got a lot of years to try to catch up. I decided I would launch this channel in this very friendly and an outreach manner. I know you're going to enjoy it because I'm going to enjoy producing and recording, and we're going to go on a journey together. God bless you. This is Craig Soaries, your old school gospel organist. Let's have a great time this year.